Nina, hi. Welcome to Gemserv's offices today to talk about cyber threat intelligence. It's an absolute pleasure to have you in the office.
Great to be here, Ian.
What does threat intelligence mean to you?
Well, essentially, cyber threat intelligence is about collecting, analyzing, and processing the data in the information ecosystem, potentially looking at threats to understand what are the risk factors, and then actually processing that and making it into actionable intelligence. What are we going to do based on the threats that are facing us, and how can we form our strategies? What do we need to do to actually mitigate the threats? So it's not only large organizations that need to be concerned about this. I mean, this is an area that every single organization, whether it's large or small or even just a single person unit, needs to fundamentally be concerned about.
What's the business value of cyber threat intelligence?
Well, first of all, Ian, I think you can not afford to have cyber threat intelligence because, as I keep mentioning, this rapidly changing information ecosystem has a lot of existential risks for businesses. So if you don't invest in this, it becomes an issue that could absolutely sink your company.
Actionable threat intelligence is nothing without things like context and fusion, which are key components. You really need to understand things like the motivation. You need to draw those disparate elements of information together because information on its own is obviously only of limited use. So, the more you bring that together and the more you analyze it and the more you look at the geopolitical context, what's happening in the world right now, what are the possible motivations, why are people doing what they're doing? Many organizations think of cybersecurity in a very linear form. You've invested in training, you've got watchkeepers, you've got firewalls, you've built your fort. To just rely on that is often not productive. And it doesn't particularly tell you if you've invested in the right areas either, because you can quite happily invest in a number of areas and then still be vulnerable.
There is no silver bullet. There's no one size fits all solution. There's no, okay, I've bought this solution now and therefore I'm good for the next 5 years. It's a constant monitoring, a constant understanding of the potential threats, of the evolution of the threat actors, but it's no longer a centralized function anymore. Actually, your threat surface, if you think about where you're vulnerable, extends to your supply chain. Any number of vendors in your supply chain could be a way for bad actors to get into your organization, to steal data. So go out there and understand how this affects you in a bespoke way, because if you don't do that, then you can, be sure that it's going to affect your bottom line. And not only that, it could actually tank the existence of your firm as well.
How is the current geopolitical landscape shaping cybersecurity at the moment?
So when you think about the current geopolitical landscape, I think the themes that I've consistently seen in my work, which also relate to the information ecosystem and cybersecurity, is first of all, that technology, the exponential rate at which technology is accelerating right now. We are now in a state of constant war geopolitically. Even if it's not a kinetic war, we are at constant information war. Increasingly, you see that geopolitical actors are attacking private enterprises and private individuals as well.
It's never been more important to invest in good cybersecurity measures. That's not actually me saying it, it's the NCSC with their advice. And it's incredibly important to look at our disparate supply ecosystem as well.
So this is why a service like yours is so valuable, because it allows companies, whether you're a large company or a small company, to actually have the support you need to really understand in a bespoke way what are the threats that are relevant to your organization and what you need to do to not only patch up your defenses, but to actually be proactive. And only then can you really get a competitive advantage.
That's a great point, actually. It's almost the ability to cut through the noise, isn't it? To get the information that's actually relevant to you.
But then also the fact that you can tailor this is also highly relevant, because one size does not fit all anymore. So the fact that you can bring this to any organization, regardless of size, you do the heavy lifting, you cut out the noise, you analyze the very confusing and rapidly changing landscape in order to tell organizations what they need to do, not only in order to protect themselves, but to build future resilience, is invaluable.
Thank you, Nina.
You're welcome.